Okay, today is the second in my series of episodes in home automation and devices that work with the Google Home app. There are so many devices that can really help you and do a lot of different things around the house. All these devices and apps that go with these devices, and it really makes a lot of things possible just using our phones. I can turn the lights on and off. I can do all of this anywhere where my phone is with me. So this is the second in that series. And today's episode, I thought it would be important to go over not necessarily a product, not necessarily a device, but the Google Home app that you're going to use to check all these devices, install all these devices, and integrate with all of these devices. And that app is going to be really important to you. All of these devices have their own apps that come with them. You can control these devices with those apps. But when you integrate it all into one and it's all together, you see how powerful it is when you use Google Home and you have smart speakers located around the house. You can have that Google Home app control all these devices through a Google speaker. The Google speaker is where I would suggest you start off with this automating your home. Put Google Home, try a Google Home speaker, the original Google Home. You could start there. It has really good sound, and it will control all these devices. There's also a Google Mini. I think the Google Mini is down to about $23, $24 now. I have a Google Mini in every room of the house. You can use that Google Mini to control all of these devices and integrate them all into one thing. So I would suggest you start out with one of the Google speakers. That would be the Mini or the Home. If you really like in particular about sound, then you'll want to go with the Google Home, the larger one. It has a really good quality sound. The Minis they're usable and you can hear the music, but it's not a really high quality. But I think that I would start with one of the Google speakers to begin with. So we're going to get started here. Most of this video is going to be on the computer again. You'll be watching me make a bunch of clicks. But if you really want to do this automation thing, you really got to learn the Google Home app. It's really easy. You'll see you could do it without my video, but I hope to help you along the way. So let's get started. Beginning of second episode on my series on home automation products, and they're going to be using the Google Home app. So the first thing you want to do when you get one of these devices is set it up with the app that comes with it, and you'll download that app. I went over that in the previous video. But the next thing that you want to do is very important to integrate all these devices is to install the Google Home app. Now, the Google Home app is available if you have an Android product, which I'm basically basing this off of Android products. But most of these devices will work with Apple, and you can use the Apple Store to download the Google Home app for that. But I'm working now with the Android Play Store, Google Play Store. That's what I have. That's what I'm familiar with. So you want to go to the Google Play Store, and so the Google Play Store. That is the icon for the Google Play Store. So you want to click on that, and you want to go into search, and you want to search for the Google Home app. And it doesn't have to say for Android. It just type in Google Home app. And there it is. And it's already installed on my device, so instead of installing it, I will open it. So I'm going to open the app. Now, mine is set up so it has all these different devices and it's broke down in rooms. When you first get it, it will only show this top part. It will look very open, very plain. As you set up devices, then your rooms are added. Now, Google Home app you can use to activate any of these devices that you have installed. For instance, I'll go to lights. Now this is all the lights that I have. And I can click on any of these, turn them on and off, or I could click on all of them. Makes it very, very easy to use my products. Also, I have the Google screens in various rooms, and with that I can call home on my phone and it will literally send a video call to those various screens in the house, and anybody here can answer my call on those video screens, and they would be able to do a video call. I can also broadcast. Click broadcast. It's going to ask me
what's the message.
Hello, this is a test.
All right, broadcasting now.
Hello, this is a test. Now, what it did was broadcast to every speaker device in the house. This is coming very handy. Sometimes when I've been away and needed to get an important message, and whoever was here wasn't answering their phone, didn't see the text, well, I can use the broadcast. I can use the broadcast function, and I can broadcast to every speaker in the house, and they know, hey, somebody's trying to get a hold of me, or they can hear the message that I tell them. So that has already come in very handy. The media. This is where you will control movies. For instance, right here, I was listening to Howard Stern a little earlier, and I was broadcasting to every room of the house. I have a speaker in every room. In some rooms I have 2 or 3 because I have a screen that has a speaker on them. So what happens, I broadcast to every room, or I can tell it to basically follow me whichever room I'm in. I usually broadcast to every one. This is where you will, if you're playing music, you can control that from here rather than use the individual player. So everything can be controlled through the Google Home app. It's really, at first it wasn't, some things didn't work real well on it. It is really starting to come on, really starting to work well now. Only thing is, it's very large. There are a lot of settings. For instance, I have a Nest. The Nest is a automated thermostat. So I use the Nest app usually when I control my device. But because I like to use the voice function, if I'm sitting around, I like to be able to change the temperature. Just tell it to change, tell it to come on, tell it to go off. So I use the Google Home app. So I usually use the Nest app, but Nest is also on the Google Home app. And this is what that looks like. Now, in this, I can turn the temperature up and down using the plus and minus. I can touch it. I can pull it down like that. I can use my voice. I can go into the settings here. Settings are always that gear in case you're new to setting things up. the gear is going to be your settings, that little gear icon. And here it is. Here's the Google settings for Nest. Now, if I click on this little icon here, that would actually take me to the Nest app. And this operates outside. This operates outside of the Google Home app. So this is the Nest screen. And there's a little bit more functions available on through the Nest part of it, rather than going through Google Home. For instance, a history. Here I have a history of every time and what temperature my thermostat went on and off. I can click on the day and it'll break down. It'll show me every single time to the minute when my thermostat came on or off. Now also, I have sensors, individual sensors that are connected to this thermostat, because I was noticing that the temperature in my room didn't seem correct. I was either colder than what it said, or I felt it was warmer than what it said. So I had a suspicion something was wrong. So I went and got a $30 sensor to add on to this thermostat. Now I added that sensor away from the thermostat so that it could get a different temperature than what was at the physical thermostat. I wanted it to control that temperature. And sure enough, I was right. What had happened was the thermostat was set just a little too close to the television. Well, the television puts off a lot of heat. And in the wintertime, the temperature on the thermostat was sometimes 4 degrees different than it was just 3 feet away. That all that hot air that was produced by the television was affecting that thermostat, so the rest of the room was staying very cold. So once I installed that sensor, then I got a correct reading of the room, and I can read the temperature off of either one of these. The Nest will read the temperature off either one. But we're going to get back to the Google Home app. We're going to go back to it. And there it is. And what has happened is all these devices that you set up, they all have their individual apps. But this brings it all under one. And they all look very similar. That's one thing that Google does when it brings it under the control of the Google Home app. You see it's just white, and there's very little color, but it's very, very usable. That makes it's stripped down, and I like that. That way they all look very similar. The controls look very similar. They're all alike. They're all the same color. So that really helps. Now, when you install, if you buy a Mini, as soon as you plug the Mini in, it is going to tell you that you need your Android phone. Now, the Mini's set up very easily. They use a tone that they generate, and your phone hears that tone. And so I don't know the process that happens, but it generates the tone. Your phone hears it, and the Google Mini sets up on your network. It's very, very quick. It seamless. It just works seamless. And so then you will have your Mini or your speakers set up. And you'll see I have speakers throughout the house. And if you have a speaker, right here is what is playing right now on this speaker. Right now that's playing on the speaker. I have it paused, and I'm broadcasting to every speaker in the house. But once you install your Mini, then you have settings that you need to do. Now, you'll go to the Google Home app when it's installed, and you will go click on the device. So I clicked on. You won't have a room yet probably, but it'll show the device. You will already have named it because it asks you to name it. So once you name it, this one's downstairs speaker. You will click on that, and then the speaker will work now, but there's some parameters you need to set. First of all, it needs to retrain your voice. And your phone may already recognize you. I don't know, but you're going to need to go to settings, and it's going to ask you your Google account name, and you're going to link it when you do the setup. You're going to link your Gmail account, and you will need a Gmail account to link all this stuff together. You probably already have a Gmail account, but you'll need to associate your Gmail account, and that is mine. And on here you can adjust the volume that you want for alarms and timers that you have. So if you set an alarm on this Mini, that's going to be the volume for that Mini. Here you can change the name for the Mini, and you can change the room that it's in. Now, rooms are important. You want to assign this to a room, because if you get these things all through the house, you want to be able to differentiate them. Now, you also have groups that you can set up, and I'm going to go over that in another video. But you'll want to set up groups once you get a lot of these devices in your house. This is going to be the Wi-Fi, name of your Wi-Fi signal. And you can set any downtime if you have children, and you can set any time for the Wi-Fi system to be down. You want them to be off the system. You can do that there. Here's the accessibility. If you want for instance, when you say the keywords, I'm not going to say them now because my house will go crazy, but if you say the keywords, HEY, Google, you can either have it play a sound, it goes woo, and then when you're done asking, it woo, and it rings. That key sound that it gives after that. Now I have it turned off on this particular speaker, but this is something you can do. You can have your speaker do that, so you know when it's listening and you know when it quits listening. That's what that's for. The preview program, I'm a part of that. You don't have to be a part of that. Night mode. Okay, here I have my night mode, and during this time from 10 p.m. till 5 a.m., I don't want sounds from the speakers. I want them to be very low. For instance, if I ask a question of Google, if I ask Google what time it is, the response, I want those responses to be very low after 10 p.m. because my wife goes to bed early and I don't want loud sounds in the house. So I set it for every day of the week from 10 p.m. until 5 a.m. Now she's gone before 5 a.m. so I don't care how loud it is after that. So also, any light that comes from the device, there's lights on top of the device, and it uses those lights to show you when it's speaking, and I want those lights to be very dim at this time of night. So this is where you would set that. You can also set a do not disturb, where it will not, no alarms will go off, no responses, nobody can, for instance, nobody can broadcast. You would not be disturbed during these hours. Now, I don't do that. And you can set the maximum volume total at night. So this is night mode. I have it turned on. Here's another thing. When you ask Google to do something, I have mine set so that if there's a movie playing and I ask Google something, it will lower the volume on all other devices until I finish my request. That way I know it's listening and it's not hearing all the other devices. So this is where you would set that. So when you say the keywords, everything else in the house will lower down, and it will hear you. I have it set so others can control the media. So if somebody comes in the house and we're sitting around and we're visiting and they want to show me a video from YouTube, they can easily log on and they can easily cast to my device. I allow them to do that. You set your default music speaker. I have mine set for downstairs speaker. I don't know why that is. I don't know which device I'm looking at actually. I'm looking at, so that's itself. Downstairs speaker is itself. You just set default TV. Maybe this device you want, if you want any responses to be on video, say you ask it to do something, show you a video from YouTube. Maybe you only want, you're going to set a primary device that it's going to show those responses to. So if there's going to be video information displayed after your request, this is going to be your default TV. I have it set for the living room. You could set it for downstairs. You could set it for a bedroom, whatever, except for whatever. Or you have a basic equalizer. It's not much, but it's just a basic. Okay, recognition and personalization. This is where you will allow Google to access emails, things like that. It'll allow you to make payments from the device. This is where that comes in. And you have to set that slider to allow. This is the sensitivity of the response. When you say HEY Google, I have mine set to the default. You can change it to make it less sensitive. You can make it more sensitive. Mine does a good job. So I'm not going to change any of them. But if you find one that maybe doesn't respond well to your keywords, then you'll want to change this. Make the sensitivity higher. So that's where that is. Now, notifications. This is where you click this if you want to hear alarms, reminders, and things like this. Maybe you only want those reminders on your phone, but you don't want these reminders coming on your speakers. You'll turn this off. Here we have a spot for YouTube settings. Each speaker you can set YouTube restrictions. So if you were wanting to play a music video and you ask it to play the music video from this speaker, well, you can set each speaker, you can set the parameters. So if you don't want it to play inappropriate songs, then this is where you would lock it out of that. I don't like doing that. It really restricts your responses if you put any of these filters on there, and it will really restrict the number of returns that you get for a response. This is Duo calling, which I suggest that you download and install. Duo is really a cool program. May do a video on that coming up. It's really cool. I suggest you start using it. It's another Google app that is just really packed full of stuff you can use. This is where you can remove the device or remove voice match. Now, voice match was up here somewhere, or maybe we haven't gotten to it yet. But voice match, you will want to make sure that you get to voice match. We want to go to more settings. Okay, there's more settings on here. We will go back. This is just some basic treble and bass. It doesn't really make a whole lot of difference. I don't use these. I haven't seen where they make much difference. Okay, now if the device that you set up was a light bulb, maybe you got a Wi-Fi light bulb. Okay, then this is what the light bulbs look like on the Google Home app. I will show you. We will go back out. Now this is earlier video. I set up a camera, and this is the app that I use for that. This is the Genie app. Genie has some very inexpensive light bulbs you can get for, $8 a piece. And if you installed a light bulb, this is the program you would use. You would install it, and it would look like this. There's the light bulbs. It would look like this on the app. And then after you install it through Genie, you would come to the Play Store, and you would install the Google Home app. And then on the Google Home app, the light bulbs would show up in the individual room that you put it in. There's my bathroom lights. Right now I have them turned off so they're not generating anything. But the rest of, let's see, this is the light bulbs in the basement. So there's 6 lights in the basement. They're each named. Now I can turn each one on here, and I can dim them here. I can go to click on the one in the tool room, and here I can make it turn it on. I can make it brighter. I can make it dimmer. Just like that. Now I'm going to turn it back off. Yeah, but each light then, here we have the gear. That's the settings. And we can go into the settings and control. This is where we can change the name on each device, and we can unlink it from its setting. Now I'm going to show you. Now what I just did, we set up a Genie device. So once we do that, and we have the Google Home app, then we need to go into settings. Excuse me, I think I need to change that. Go back here. We're going to, yes, you're going to click on your picture, and that's going to be your account. And then you're going to go to Home App Settings. You'll check on your general settings, everything looks okay here. But you will go to click on that again. Yes, so you'll go to assistant settings. So on here, this is where you will, once you have set up your individual app, then you will come here to the assistant. You'll click on assistant. You'll go to voice match, and you will train the assistant and the device to your voice. And just follow the directions. It will ask you to say various groups of words, and then it will remember you. Now, if you have different people living in the house, for instance, you and your wife, you can each have individual responses to the Google Home speakers. For instance, if I ask Google, do I have anything on my agenda for today? Well, Google knows it's me, so it looks at my calendar and it sees if I have anything coming up for today. It will look at my email. It knows if I have a certain email that's coming in. So each individual response is associated to the person that's asking the question. I use a male voice. I believe the actual voice that comes already, preloaded on, selected on the Google speakers is a female voice. I use a male voice. That way I know, it just makes it easier for me to know that the Google is talking to me and not my wife. That's just the way I do it. And you get to pick the voice. So here is, I've taught the device my voice. Now I'm going to come back out. Now remember, we are now working with the assistant. Here's where you can pick the assistant's voice. And this voice is available on the Google Home, available on the phone, and all smart displays.
Here are the voices you can pick for your Google Assistant. If you like this voice and want me to keep using it,
Just stop here.
So as you scroll through these
Here are the
colors,
voices you can pick for your Google Assistant. If you like
whatever
this
you
voice
pick on
and
this
want me to
to
keep
be your
using
voice,
it, just stop here.
that's what it'll be. So
Here are the voices you can pick for your
Google Assistant.
I use
If
that
you like
voice.
this voice and want me to keep using it, just stop here.
Once I stop there, that'll be the voice that it answers to on that device. Now, I've already taught. I will go through. It looks like I need to do it again, but I've gone through and I have taught Google my face. So as I walk through my house, any device that has an active camera on it that can respond, it knows who I am. It's constantly looking at me. If I'm walking by one of these devices, it knows that it's me. So it will do various things that I prefer. So for instance, if I prefer a light on when I'm in this hallway, Google can eventually learn that, hey, it's him. He's probably going to ask me to turn this light on, and so that's what that is for. And it knows it's just me, and it will respond to me with the information that it knows that I'm asking for. This is the home control. This is where your devices are linked. So if you get a new device, I don't know why we lost it here. We've lost what's going on here. So these are the devices that I have in the house. So if I have one that's not acting correctly, so I will go here now. So, for instance, the device that I got was a Wemo. And that's a switch. Now I already have the app installed. It needs to update. It updated, but this is the same process you would follow if you bought a new Switch. I bought a new Switch. It was a Wemo. So I've already installed the Wemo software. Now I want to add it to my Google Home app. So I will say add new. So I'm going to click on Wemo. Now I already have the account set up with Wemo. Now I want to connect it to the Google app so that my searches and my commands can be done through Google. So I will connect the Wemo app here to the Google Home app. So it's going to link the Wemo account. It says it successfully linked my Wemo account to the Google Home app. So I'm hoping that it will work correctly now. So now we're going to go back, and that's the way you will add a new device. So there's all kinds of settings on this, but that's the ones you need to get the first initial things working. And now if your first device is going to be a speaker, you will want to go to the services section of the assistant settings, and you will want to set on here music services. So if you subscribe to YouTube Music, Google Play, Pandora, Spotify, whatever you subscribe to, you will go here and you will click on whichever one you want the device to default to. So I subscribe to Google Play Music and YouTube Music, but right now I'm trying to learn to use YouTube Music. So I have on here that I want my first responses to be from YouTube Music. So if I ask for music to be played, I want it to use YouTube. And it can use Google Play, it can use Pandora, Spotify, whatever you tell it to use. But right now I'm telling it to use YouTube Music. Now, if there's a certain video, so if you have Netflix, Hulu, CBS, Sling, all of those, Disney, all of those things that you can have, this is where you will put those. This is where you will put those, and you will have to link those. So if you have to add them, so for instance, I have CBS, but it's not signed in, I would click link on here, and I could link my CBS account. So if I ask Google something in particular, for instance, right now I'm watching the new Star Trek show. Pretty cool show. But anyway, if I ask it when that show was on and if it would play that a certain episode, well, if I'm not signed into that account, it wouldn't be able to answer it. So right here's where I would link that account, and it's signing me in. There's my it has my email on there, and I'm gonna have to blot all this out. It's gonna make my video, it's gonna make my editing much longer. But anyway, so I just linked it, so it knew my password already. It didn't have to show it to you, so I'm glad that was pretty cool. So that's where you link any accounts that you have, and you want to do that initially with the one of the first things you do, especially if you have a speaker or if you're using a Chromecast. And I can make several videos on all of these things, but I also have Sirius XM. It asks you about radio services. This is where I link that. So if I want to play some specific show, I can ask it to do that, and it has my subscription, so it can go out there and look for those things, and it can play it on all these devices that I have listed. It's so much. There's so much on this. So this is where you will control each individual device in each room. And for instance, here I can go to the bedroom speaker. I can click on the settings for that, just for that bedroom speaker, and then I can go to the device settings on that one, and it will pull up the individual settings for that one speaker, and I can go all the way back down to each setting on it. So there is setting after setting after setting. And this is where you can control each room and the settings for each room and each device. So for instance, the master bedroom, I have a bedroom clock. I will click on that. It will pull up my settings for the clock, and I can go to the settings. I can do my voice match on there. I can go to the individual settings for that device. I can remove that device. There's a lot of things I can do. So that's a little, this is where you can manage your Google account. You can sign in and out. You can manage how your data is used. All that stuff that you need to work with for Google, that can also be handled there. There are even more settings up here. You can go to your activity controls. So much. This Google Home app is so powerful. I'm still learning how to use it. I've been using it for years, but this actual app has just been updated for about a year, I'd say, in this setting, in this this configuration, and I'm still learning how to use it. You can control various homes from this one device by just adding the home right here. You can click on a different home. See, I can control parts of my mom and dad's home from here in case of an emergency. So you can connect different homes. You can invite a home member. For instance, I set all this up, and now I need my wife to have access to all of this. She downloads the Google Home app, and I send her this invitation. And all of these devices are also available for her use. She will just put in her individual Gmail account, and all of these devices are then available for her to use. The house is set up the same way. She can have her own settings. She can have all of her own everything. Really cool how that works. And it will answer specifically to her, and her responses will be catered to her individually. Really cool how that works. Now, you can set up routines. So when you're doing something, you can tell it what to do when you're leaving the house. You can tell it what to do when you're feeling nostalgic. So you can tell Google, I'm feeling nostalgic. And when you tell it what to do, if you tell it, when I'm feeling nostalgic, I want you to play this music. I want you to turn on these lights and set the temperature to this and put this on the television. And Google will do all of those things. Really cool how that works. So that's what routines do. We'll go over setting up routines on another video. So that's just a little preview on using the Google Home app. That will get you started with your first device. And in future videos, I'll go over some more. So I think we're going to leave it at that. Remember, like, share, and subscribe. Hope you're enjoying my videos. I hope they're at least a little bit helpful to somebody. I'm sure that somebody can use what I'm putting out there. The videos should be getting better in quality. And remember to like, share, and subscribe. I need to get some subscribers. And
I encourage you to get out there and do some of these things, do some of the home improvement projects, take care of some of the maintenance on your vehicle. And if you don't know how to do it, look to see if maybe I have a video that shows how to do it, something that can give you a little bit of confidence. Remember, this is not for the videos are not for the people that know how to do all this stuff. This is for the people that don't know or maybe need a little bit more encouragement. So if you have a project that you want some information on, maybe you want me to do a video on, leave a comment down at the bottom, down below, and I will try to make a video on that individual thing, or maybe I have it available and I can I can give you some information on finding it. So that'll do it. That's the way I do it. We'll see you next time.